and I encourage persons that if they're looking to to save or to improve on their financial literacy or financial habits, they have to assess the lifestyle they live.
Welcome back to Push Your Peers Podcast, the number one podcast in the region for living a progressive and happier life. On this episode, I'm joined by Benji Durham, who's sharing his inspiring journey from returning home from London. We're diving into the power of purpose, positivity, and financial literacy, all key ingredients for personal and community growth. Don't forget to subscribe and tell me who you would like to see on the next episode. Sit back, relax, and let's get ready to push some peas. First of all, let's talk about Benji. Who is Benji Durham?
So Leo, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it, and much respect to what you're doing. What you how you growing in the region, and we're all supportive of you. So me, Benjamin Durham, Benji, as everyone knows me as, Turks and Caicos Islander, born and raised, grew up in Provo. Spent all my years here until the age of 18. Then I moved to London, where I studied, got my university or my bachelor's degree at university, and then I lived there and worked for the next 8 years, so a total of 11 years. I was over in London, you know, learning, working, growing, just, becoming a boy and growing into a man. And, towards my late 20s, I kind of had thoughts of returning back home and seeing, what the country had to offer and where the direction it was going in. I wanted to be a part of that, and I felt like I had a duty to come back and give back to my country. So I moved back in 2019, and yeah, I've just been ever since, just building step by step, foundation upon foundation, trying to be a part of the future of the country. So when we're older, me and you, we could look back and say, yeah, we did our part. So
Definitely.
yeah, and that's basically me in a nutshell, man. That's it.
And Benji, you have a financial background, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So I did
Tell
my undergrad in economics and then my master's financial law. So you could say that, yeah, definitely.
what attracted you to that specific area of study?
You know what it is, Neil? Like, I'll keep it so real and be honest with you. When you're 16, 17, you don't really know what you want to be, right? You just go on with the flow almost. So for myself, business studies obviously was something that was of interest to me, and just naturally it progressed into selecting a course within that field, and economics just happened to be that course. Now, I know I wanted to contribute to the country in some way because it was kind of instilled in me from a young age, like, this is your country. You have to, the only time you're going to see change is if you do it. Like, you have to be the change, right? That was a big thing during that time, like change, '03 to '07, during that my teenage years. So I knew that I wanted to be a part of the change that was taking place in the country when I was older. And from my understanding, the economy would have been crucial to that. So if you want to impact change in the country, you have to have an impact on the economy, because the economy is the driver of growth. So that's what kind of led me to that. Now, where it took me, I couldn't have mapped that out. That's just, you could call it, what's meant to be will be, that sort of aspect. But it was always a underlying aspect of, okay, whatever I study has to be able to translate into driving the economy forward, making an impact on the economy, making an impact on the country. Yeah, so that was really it.
What I'm hearing a lot from you is you have to basically be the change that you want to see.
1,000%, man,
And
100%.
I would believe that's the reason why you would have, after over a decade of living in the UK, you transition back home. So
Absolutely, yeah.
walk us through that transition. You studied, you worked, you lived in the UK, you come home, and you're looking to make some sort of economic impact
Mhm.
because you want to be this change. What were some of the things you noticed in your first year of returning home that were either opportunities or red flags?
Well, I always try to point out the opportunities than the red flags, because if you focus on the opportunities, then we naturally improve, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to point out the bad, but harder to fix the good, fix what we can fix. So when I got home, I realized that Turks and Caicos, it was on an upward trajectory. So we were just kind of moving up. We hadn't peaked, we hadn't declined, we were on the up and up. So I was looking around and I was seeing, okay, everyone was talking about tourism, everyone was talking about hospitalities, the hotels, but what's next? What's the other industry? No one foresaw COVID, or thought COVID was going to happen. But for me, it was like, okay, financial services, because that's why I studied. I worked in a financial services company in the UK. So, and then of course I looked at Cayman, BVI, Bermuda, and I thought, okay, natural progression.
Yeah.
As one industry matures, let's get into another industry. So that was what I saw, and I saw it was very underdeveloped. And it's not so much the big picture; it's the little things. So it was just good quality banking service, for example. I noticed that when I got home. Now, when I was in London, I was thinking, yeah, I mean to create a whole industry. But when you get on the ground, you realize the little things matter, the day-to-day
Mhm.
things matter, and that was the first point. You can't expect to grow industry if your service levels or service quality is low. So that was an area I thought, you know what, if I could align myself or be a part of improving banking in the country, then yeah, this is the beginning of change, and that's ultimately where I found myself. So I didn't come with that plan, but life, what you put out there is what kind of reveals itself or manifests, so to speak. So through
Yeah.
those thought process and those actions and those steps that I took, it led me to where I'm at now, which is in banking and being part of Turks and Caicos Banking Company, which is the bank I'm a part of. Yeah.
Let's talk about banking. Banking is, and it's a sensitive area. It's something I'm kind of frustrated with, because I've been waiting on an account to be open for 2 months, and it still hasn't been open.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about that right now. I want to talk about you and banking, Benji and banking, and some of the things you're noticing with Turks Islanders as customers. Some of the things we are not doing correctly, or some things we are not capitalizing on right now in the banking industry.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good question, dude. That's a very good question. I guess the first thing I would say, and it's more so what we're not capitalizing on, right, is understanding the value that banks should offer to you as a customer. You are not obligated to bank with a certain bank. You should choose. You should have choice. It's not a monopoly. So, for example, most banks should offer term deposits. If you have savings in your account, you've been saving up for the last 10, 15 years, and you should be earning some interest on that. That is a status, like a standard across the board. Now, what I've noticed from a lot of conversations is that a lot of the banks here don't offer anything on your money. So inflation has increased by, say, 3 or 4% in the last how many years? I don't want to give specific statistics, but that 10 grand that you had last year is still 10 grand today, but it's buying you less. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, if banks are offering loans at 6%, and your capital is part of that, is that cash on deposit, or cash with the banks, they're lending your money out at a full rate of 6%. And what are you earning on it? So you're
Hmm.
going and taking that loan out, but you have 10,000 in the bank, but that 10,000 is only going to could barely get you a March now, or Swift. Whereas whereas 7, 8 years ago, it could easily have gotten you that. But it's like a tangible thing that I've noticed, that a lot of us, you know we probably weren't aware. We just think, well, at least our money's in the bank is safe, but it should be earning something as well, and of course there's the investment side of it, that we could always diversify our savings, whether it's real estate, but also investment in stock market and things like that. So that's another thing that. many of us are unaware of.
What would that look like though, Benji? Should it be an interest that's added monthly, annually? Like how does that work or how should it work?
Mhm. Well, usually it's a service that's offered. It's a term deposit. It's called a term deposit. So it varies in time. It could range from like a monthly term deposit up to a yearly term deposit. Usually, the longer the term, the more interest you earn. So you can say, well, I'm going to put this money away for 12 months, and it's going to earn 3%. It's going to earn 4%. At the end of that term, you're credited with that interest. That's how it looks like. So it's basically you're agreeing to put your money with the bank for a certain period of time, and as a result of that, you get to earn some interest because because that's the original purpose of banks was a safe haven. It's somewhere you can
Mm,
put your money. It's safe, it's trustworthy, and in return, the banks offer a service to the community to allow them to grow their businesses, to purchase homes, you know, kind of like a bridge. And traditionally, that's always been the case. So in a small community like Turks and Caicos, that should still be the case. It should be a
yeah.
community based service.
You know, you talked about the banks and what they should be doing, right? Let's talk about what we should be doing now and recognizing that our money is sitting there,
Mhm.
is not earning anything. What should we be doing to capitalize on opportunities within this economy
Okay.
with our money in the bank?
Good question. Good question. So, ultimately, I think what we've been taught is to get on the real estate ladder. Purchase a property, purchase a piece of land, and let's call it what it is the prices are it's insane right now. It's not so easy for guys our age to just say, hey, let's go and buy a piece of land. It doesn't matter where it is on the island, really. It's still quite a significant down payment you have to make, and even the monthly payments could be difficult if you're renting, if you have a family, things like that. So one of the that's the one that's something we can do on locally on island. But another option we can look at is investments in the global markets. So
Mm,
we want to look at how our money can compound over a number of years. So, for example, we're all savvy to what's going on around the world. We have access to everything at our fingertips. So, if we now have the ability to invest or purchase stocks in companies um, globally, companies that are of interest to us, companies that we think are innovative, and that's what we should also be doing. We should also be looking at that because that works for you while you sleep. It's like it's coined as passive income or passive investments. So, if you were to invest in, just take it for example, Apple over the next 5 to 10 years, if you initially put $1,000 into Apple and every 6 months you add another thousand, another thousand, another thousand, you can almost guarantee that in 5 to 10 years, your what you initially put in would have grown
mm.
without you having to do anything, just based on the growth of Apple as a company. So that's something, especially our generation, I think we should look at because we have a long runway. We only just getting started. We're not thinking to retire tomorrow. We're just trying to build wealth, and we build wealth by investing in these type of instruments. Take a bit of risk, so to speak. You know.
What if you don't have that knowledge, that background? How do you build at least the foundational element of it? One, and two, do you need a US bank account or anything to even participate in the stock market? Like, how do you even get into those sort of things?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question, Leo. And growing up here, we didn't have that information. That wasn't taught to us. So I learned about that when I was in London. Exposure to the capital markets. It's something we saw on TV, but didn't know where to start. So, but the beauty of it is now that with YouTube and even channels and platforms like yourself, you have access to that information now. We don't have to go and look in the encyclopedia or the old school way of doing things. So the first thing is that the information is out there. If you're keen and you take a bit of initiative and proactiveness, you can find some information on it. Just type in, you know, top 10 stocks to invest in 2025. And the
Mm.
videos, thousands of videos will come up on YouTube, right? And you just spend that time. Secondly, how do you invest? So my role here at TCBC is as an investment officer. So we offer a outlet for persons on island to invest in the stock market, and that's through a platform, one of the largest online brokerages. It's called Interactive Brokers. So if you for example, you wanted to get into the stock market, you could come into TCBC, you could open up an account with us. Once the account is open, we'll then apply to set you up with a Interactive Brokers online trading account that's connected to your TCBC account. So when you deposit money into your TCBC account, you could then wire it to your Interactive Brokers account. Me and you could sit down and talk. You say, Benji, I want to buy 10 shares of Apple, and I can either buy it for you, or you have logins, you have your username and your password. You can log in yourself, Leo, and you could say 10 shares of Apple, buy, submit, done. And you
What's
can manage your own portfolio for yourself.
what's this company called again you work for?
TCBC, Turks and Caicos Banking Company. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the oldest bank in the country. Most persons, probably, they either notice us, but don't notice us. But we're the
Yeah,
oldest bank in
it's
the
the
country.
lighthouse.
It's the lighthouse. Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know y'all did that.
yeah, yeah. We do, we do, man. That's what I do every day, man. I do investments mainly, along with relationship management, but investments. That's what I do, man. So even like a proposal, I can prepare a proposal for you based on what you want to do, and I could, I'm here to guide you, to support you. Any questions? Hey, Benji, what you think of this stock? What you think of that stock? I'm here. Just ask. Yeah,
You all right, you talk about opening up an account. Sorry, I'm pulled into this now. Open
yeah.
up an account. Is there a minimum amount of money you need
Mhm,
to
mhm, mhm.
open up an account?
Yeah. So traditionally, or historically, the bank it's an investment bank or private bank, but due to the demand and I guess the lack of service, so to speak, in the country over the years, we've become more on the commercial side. So more and more the day-to-day banking. So we offer full day-to-day banking services like any other commercial bank. So there is a minimum investment or minimum amount to open an account with, which is 25,000. However, if you're looking to open a investment um or brokerage account with us, to say you want to invest some of your savings, we can look to just offer that to you without having that threshold in place. Because so you may say, well, Benji, I have $5,000 saved up. I want to get into investing, start buying some stocks. And say, okay, Leo, you know what? Let's open an account for you. Let's get that money working for you, and we take it from there. It's discretionary. We don't have
Right.
yeah. It's not like I could say, well, I'm not allowed to do this because of this. I could look at you. I know you. I know we spoke and know what your goals are. Of course, man. That's how it should be. It should be personal. It should be a interpersonal relationship. That's what banking is. It's not like, well, you don't fit the criteria. No, decline. No, it's not like that. Shouldn't be like
You-
that.
And it's good because earlier we talked about, this $5,000 that I might have just sitting down, not earning anything. Now I can just open up an account and let this money earn money, basically let it work for me at your establishment. I
There
didn't know this was an option.
it is an option. It's not, we're not in the business of self promotion. We like to let our service and our work speak for itself. That's the best form of marketing. But yeah, it is there. It is there. So, and when it comes to investing in stocks, I always say invest in things that you have an interest in. So, you I notice you're doing a lot with the road dogs, is it? The road
Yeah,
dogs. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So you may like is it on the that the
On Cloud and Brooks and
yeah.
Kuka. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the running shoes, you could
Mm-hmm.
buy stocks, you could buy shares in the company because you feel like, well, the company is bid into the market share of the athletic industry, and it's taken away from Nike and Adidas. I'm going to invest in On and buy some shares in that, or whatever else you may have an interest in. I'm just saying, like, you should always invest in something you're connected with, because that's what makes it that much more interesting. That's what makes it so much more gratifying as well.
And you're saying that I can come here, bring my money, you'll create all the accounts and everything for me and make the investments for me and everything.
Well, you'll open a standard bank account. First of all, you have to open up a standard bank account. So two forms of ID, proof of address, you know, that's all. Fill out the application form. Once your bank account is open, you have debit cards as well. So once your bank account is open, then we can start the process of opening a investment sub account for you. That's through Interactive Brokers. You can Google it. Interactive Brokers is one of the largest online trading platforms. So we have a partnership with them where we'll set you up with a trading account. You'll receive a username, a password, you can log in, and you can place the trades yourself. And you can either place the trades or purchase stocks you are comfortable with, or you can say, well, Benji, would you want to put together a proposal for me? Are you able to do that based on my needs? And I'll ask you how much you want to invest, what's your risk appetite, and what's your long-term objective. And we'll prepare that for you. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Well, Benji, I think you're going to be hearing from me and along with some of my listeners because I'm sure they don't know this exists either, at least not at this level. So thank
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
for sharing this with us.
No.
Now you have Turks Island, Turks Islander clientele, and the average Turks Islander is living paycheck to paycheck in this country.
Mm.
From your experience, not only with clients, because I don't want you putting anybody business out there, but just living here, your friends and everything, a holistic view. What are some of the poor financial decisions we are making right now that is hurting us economically?
Wow. That's a very good question. Um, so, your financial decisions are tied to your lifestyle. It has a heavy correlation to your lifestyle, the type of life you want to live. So, I find that now I'm not here to speculate on person's income or how they their responsibilities and duties. Like for myself, I don't have kids, so I don't know how that budget looks like. The average cost of raising a child or something like that. But what I can say is that it's very important that we prioritize savings, even if it's minimal, even if it means sacrificing something, because that's what part of what savings is. It's sacrifice. Okay, I may not be able to have a takeout this Friday. I may not be able to buy a drink for a couple weeks. You know, things like that. It's about sacrifice. So once you give up something, you offer the opportunity for something else. So
Mhm,
if I want to start saving, it may be $50 a month. $50 a month is maybe, let's say, two plates of food. Depending, say a plate of food is $25, right? Okay, so can I sacrifice that for my lunch? Can I prepare some lunch for myself today, or between on Mondays and Wednesdays, just pack some lunch and bring it to work? Can I do that? And then I could save that $50.
mhm,
It's those type of honest conversations you have to have with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself, because if you don't take accountability for yourself, no one's going to take accountability for you. And you can only life life is difficult, but you'll always find that there's someone else in a harsher position than you. So you can make a change. You can decide for yourself that, what, um, I'm going to change my circumstance. Once you make that decision, you then have to identify habits that you have to change, because we're not perfect. I have bad habits.
mhm.
You have bad habits. Everyone has bad habits. No one's out here perfect. So there's always room for improvement. And I encourage persons that if they're looking to to save or to improve on their financial literacy or financial habits, they have to assess the lifestyle they live. They
Mm.
have to. That's crucial. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Benji. Let's talk about the other end of it. You have people, you have government.
Mhm.
You've worked in London, more advanced systems. You've come back here and you've been a part of the system for quite some time. You've been home for how long now?
6 years.
6 years,
Yeah, 6 years.
right? Now, what is something from your experience? What would you like to see the government do to either curb this issue that we have with financial literacy, or more so increase our capacity to earn more or even acquire more? From
Hmm.
your experience, what should the government be doing in either one of these areas?
Um, Truthfully, the government, I think, Leo, in all honesty, the government needs to improve the infrastructure, the landscape, the environment. What
Mm.
we see is what we believe is we're capable of.
And
You know what
yeah.
I mean? If we don't see something, we don't have the motivation or the belief that I'm capable of exceeding my current like circumstances or I'm able to improve myself. If your surroundings haven't improved for 20 years, subconsciously you're not going to feel the need to improve either. So it's like it's that's what I would impress on the government to improve the surroundings, the surrounding areas. Not every child has the opportunity that I may have had to go off to school and be exposed and see high standards of living or seeing certain things that don't exist here, and then it motivates me or inspires me to say, okay, that person looks like me and that person has that, or this house looks like this, or this road is you're seeing improvement, so you're feeling like I can also improve. But if my surroundings hasn't improved or haven't improved in 20 years, and I'm gonna feel like, well, what motivation do I have? I'm never gonna make it out of here. This surrounding's never gonna change. If it's not clean, it's all, yeah, it's perception. It's if the place is littered with garbage and there's no landscape and there's no beauty, and the roads aren't nice, so you can't bring in nice vehicles and things like that. Like a young child going to school is going to be thinking, man, I don't have a shot. I might as well just do what I got to do, or just live the lifestyle I want to live. There's no way you could convince me that working hard and saving money, I'm going to be able to achieve a certain lifestyle, because I've never seen it. My neighborhood been the same since I was 5 years old. I don't see any improvement. I don't see any life. I don't see any positivity around me. So it's that, that's what I believe we need to trigger the mindset of our people to start believing and understanding that anything's possible. Literally anything is possible. If you decide you want to do something, it can be done. It's that simple, man. But the government has to start showing that through the surroundings. That's key. That's key. If you go to school and your school environment isn't even conducive to your learning, what you gonna feel like doing when you go to school? So
You're
it's
not
it's
going to be motivated.
yeah, it's little things like that. And just sorry, Leah, just to go back on the previous question about I know you mentioned about are people living day to day and what they do, and I mentioned about adjusting your lifestyle. One thing I should also mention is investing in yourself. And I don't mean physical investment. I mean investing in yourself, upskilling. Because
Mm.
when you upskill, you can then apply for jobs that have higher salaries. So, if you improve your communication skills, that
Mhm.
can be done by, reading books,
Mhm.
listening to podcasts, seminars, doing an online course, um, just whatever it takes to improve your your career progression. That's
Mhm.
key. You don't want to be in the same position for 25, 30 years, for example, earning the same income. You want to constantly increase your income, but in order to do that, you have to invest in yourself, you have to upskill. So that's how you kind of get out of any situation, day-to-day living you may be in. It's also by upskilling and investing in yourself. Communication is key. Verbal communication, written communication, learning how to master interviews, these type of things. So I just wanted to mention it.
You
Yeah.
know, it reminds me of that book. It's not clicking to me right now, where it
Mhm.
talks about the richest man in Babylon. I don't know if you've read that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I read it. I read it. Yeah.
But it talks about you're taking that 10% of your earnings every month and investing in something, whether it's a skill or
Absolutely.
the acquisition of something, but you have to be, and the Honorable Premier always talks about this, a active learner.
That's the
That's
truth.
that's the only way we're gonna continue to, like you said, monetize and be relevant,
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah. We can't just expect things to just be handed to us. We gotta take some proactive initiative and say, it's we competing. It's just like when you go on the basketball court or when you running a marathon. You ain't just thinking, oh yeah, well I gonna beat this guy. No, he's trying to. You gotta compete. Only way you're gonna get first is if you practice. You
Yeah.
can't expect to just show up and win. You gotta put some time and some effort in. And it's the same thing with financial freedom and financial success. You gotta put something in. Yeah.
No, Benji, I'm gonna say this, and might be controversial for me to say this as well. We have an entitlement problem in this country, and we have to understand that yes, Turks Islanders should be first. I support that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But if you're not making the sacrifices, putting in the work, ain't no way you gonna be first. Because
Just
the
don't.
next man is doing those things. And so when he shows up and you show up and he's articulate, he's making a lot more sense. And you're just, the only thing you're bringing into the room is your last name. Of course, you're going to be last.
There you go. You hit the nail on the head, Leo. And it's not controversial. Sometimes the truth needs to be spoken, and for us to understand that it may sting, but it's for our best interest. It's absolutely for our best interest. Nothing's given. We have to compete. It's a competitive world we live in, and if we want to get ahead, we're gonna have to be the best, prove we're the best. We want to be in the starting five. We gotta prove we deserve to be in the starting five. Else we're gonna,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if my dad owns the team. You look at take Bronny for example. LeBron's the no, I'm being honest. He's the greatest of our generation, and his son, he shares his last name, but he's not on the starting five.
No,
And I'm not saying because he can't be on it, but you have to show and prove. You gotta have this. You have to be able to put in the work and deliver, and not yeah. So you couldn't have said it any better.
for sure, Benji. Benji, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're not done yet.
Oh,
We still have to allow you to push your peers. You wouldn't be a guest on our show if you don't push your peers. So any
yeah.
words that begins or word, it could be
Hmm.
words or word that begins with the letter P that has been transformational to your journey, you now have the chance to push your peers.
Man, there's a few, 'cause you realize like the words with the letter P are actually powerful words, no pun intended, right?
Yeah.
So I guess one of them was purpose, and that's what led me to come back home is really asking myself, what's my purpose? Not just my purpose to my country or my career, but my purpose in life, really. That is what motivates you to wake up every morning, no matter what you go through. You're able to push through it. You're able to tell yourself, well, there's someone else that has worse than me. Like I can get through this no matter what my situation is. I have a purpose. I'm here for a greater purpose. That greater purpose doesn't have to be financial. It could just be um, you know, smiling at someone, being polite, just being a positive, having positive interactions with individuals. Like you said in the beginning, you don't have to be a mover and shaker. You could just be a upstanding citizen, a good individual, an honest person. That's still purpose, because people are going to remember how you treated them, the interaction you had with them. People are not going to remember how much money you made or how much assets you attained. No, they're going to remember, man, Leo was a good guy, man. He looked out for me. He was positive. He was this. So I would say purpose. It's important that we understand our purpose and lead with purpose. Don't let anything motivate you, anything monetary or physical motivate you. Let your purpose lead you, and allow yourself to find that. Get experience, get exposure, meet with people, talk with people, have conversations.
Yeah.
Just but always lead with that intention of, am I achieving my purpose? And another P I would say is positivity, of course. You gotta, that goes hand in hand, man. You can't you could you'll never make it if you're a negative person, man. No one wants to be around negative people anyway, so you want to enact change. You gotta be positive. You gotta be positive, and you gotta do things, practice habits that are positive, that bring you joy, that bring you positivity. So I would say purpose, positivity, let's see, patience, persistence,
It's a
all of
lot
all
of
of
words, man.
a lot of things, man. That's and even your the title of your podcast, man. That's powerful, man. Pushing your
For
peas,
sure.
man. So yeah,
For,
yeah.
for sure. Benji, thank you so much for coming on. Two more questions, then we wrap this thing all up. And this one is a spin-off question. Are you ready?
Let's do it, man. Let's go.
If your life was a theme park,
Hmm.
what would be the main attraction?
Damn. Wow. My life was a theme park. What would be the main? Ah, wow. Let's to think about that one. What would be the main in terms of like what a ride or something?
If
Or
if your life was a theme park, what about Benji brings
yeah, it would
excitement?
have to be the mind, man. It have to be my mind because the
Mm,
mind is the most powerful entity that exists ever. How we've been created with in our mind, we can close our eyes and imagine anything with our minds. We can change the world. We can change people's thinking with our minds. We can change our whole reality or exist like where we at now just with the power of our mind. And you can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't measure it, but it's there. It's always there, and everyone has it, and how we utilize it determines the outcome of our life. So I would say it's and it never ceases to grow. Like you can't, there's no limit on the power of the mind. So I would say the mind, like your mindset. There's so many aspects to it, but if we understand how powerful it is, man, this country will be the greatest country in the world, man.
I, I I wholeheartedly believe that. And Benji, I think it takes all of us working together.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, we have a generation that has the tools to do something beyond any other generation of Turks Islanders. And the only thing that's really stopping us is our ability to work together and figure out, what that looks like.
Mm,
What does it look like for Turks Islanders from all different facets of life to come together and achieve something great? I'm talking about different backgrounds, different age groups, religious beliefs,
mm,
ideologies. How do we get all these persons in the room to put their small differences aside for a big common goal? That's something that's the problem our generation have to figure out, because it's not a tool problem, it's not an
mm,
accessibility problem, it's not a capital problem. It's us really and truly, in my personal belief, working together
yeah.
for a common good. And
Mm,
I just want to continue to thank you. I mean, we don't see each other often, we don't talk much, but every time I see you, you are a beacon of excellence, I would say.
I appreciate
So
that. Humbly.
continue to operate like that, because you don't know who you're inspiring. You don't know who person is saying, "Man, I want to be like that in the
Mhm,
financial field
mhm.
when I get older." So continue to let your light shine.
I appreciate that, and same to you, bro. Same to you. I'm seeing the strides you make. Don't think it goes unnoticed. And yeah, yeah. You charting a path that hasn't been done before. So of course, you sometimes you will feel some setbacks and some obstacles. But just know, if you wasn't doing it, people would be saying we need it. So the fact that you're doing it, that's also like I take motivation and inspiration from that, and I respect it. And just want to let you know that. And yeah, yeah. But thank you for having me, bro. Really appreciate it.
For sure. Now, final question.
Hmm.
Final question. What's Benji's legacy he wants to leave? When it's all said and done,
Oh,
and
man.
father time comes knocking with your grandkids and your great grands by your bedside, what is
Yeah.
Benji's legacy?
You know what? I, I can't. I don't, who am I to say what my legacy is? I don't. Even if, yeah, I would just like to be in like someone that, I don't know, that that that's a heavy one, because no matter what, like Turks and Caicos is always going to be, outside of my faith and my beliefs. Second is Turks and Caicos, and my, of course, my wife and my family, my mother, my father. So those are always going to be the top things. But I just want us as a people to understand that what we have is one of a kind. We have a country that does that we can call our own, that we can shape any way we like, man. We have islands, we have empty islands scattered all over, yet to be developed. We
Hmm.
have, we have a small population. I don't even think we cracked 100,000 yet. So like we at the tip of the iceberg. We're literally, and we're stable. We're a stable economy. We speak English, and we have the U.S. dollar, and we're close to the U.S. Like we have so much going for us, man. We just can't, like, we can't just think that we something's impossible.
Hmm.
We can't think that if we were to go and jump on a plane and pitch an idea to certain investors to come here and implement certain institutions or services that don't exist here, that they would be against it. They would be for it. But what we have to do is be honorable on our side.
Yeah.
'Cause people only want to work with people that they can trust, man. So we
Yeah.
gotta understand that in order to build this country, we gotta establish a level of trust amongst ourselves first, like you say, put aside our differences. But then now, when we start building out this place, there's a level of integrity that someone from a different part of the world will come in and say, you know what, this Turks and Caicos Islanders, they're a genuine, honest, trustworthy set of people. We wanna put our interests behind them. We want to help build their country, and then everyone wins. So that
Indeed.
would be my answer. Just that belief, man. Let's have that self belief that anything is possible, man. Like there's no excuse. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Benji, and thanks for uh, those powerful P's you pushed earlier with purpose. I mean, so powerful, and also for letting us know that we can come to your firm, some of us,
No, of
and
course.
start investing in stocks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great, great, great information. Ladies and gentlemen, Benji Durham, thank you for being a guest on Pushing Your Peers podcast. And we will see you guys next week for another episode.